I saw some headlines yesterday in the morning, I think it said, that the Irish said, well, we're not going to try to renegotiate our package. Then I saw something in the afternoon that said the Irish said, maybe we'll look at renegotiating. Is this Greek renegotiation of a bailout, is this going to become a template for other nations?
Well, look, European policymakers hope that it doesn't. And they've taken great pains to say that at every possible opportunity that Greece is unique. Mario Draghi at his press conference today, in fact, said everything about Greece was unique, from the beaches and the beautiful coastline to its banking system issues. And so the policymakers certainly don't hope so. There is tremendous pressure, particularly in Ireland, domestic political pressure to try to get a better deal. There's been enormous attention paid to trying to find ways to not make it too good for the Greeks, because then you have the fear that the Irish and the Portuguese will want something similar. So that is on a lot of people's minds and is not yet resolved.
Charles, you alluded to ECB President Mario Draghi a moment ago. What did he say specifically about the ECB's participation in any rescue for Greece?
Well, he batted away nearly all of the questions on that topic, but he did actually open the door a small bit. He was asked whether, and this gets into some deep technical weeds, but he was asked whether the purchase of or the assumption by the European bailout fund of bonds that the ECB holds would constitute prohibited monetary financing, and he said it would, but only if we take a loss, which a lot of people have interpreted to suggest that there might be some way for the ECB to unload some of the Greek bonds that it holds to the European bailout fund at some discount, though not at below the price the ECB bought them, and that sort of benefit could be turned over to Greece. So he hinted at it, but he didn't say anything specific.
So for the past several hours, or over the past couple days, we've been talking about a $300 million, I believe that was the number, right? A $300 million shortfall.
Right. In Greece.
In Greece. Does the agreement this morning cover that $300 million shortfall? And what comes next?
Yes. No, the problem was that the Greek political parties had balked at 300 million euros worth of, or the gap was 300 million euros between what they were willing to do on austerity and what the EU wanted. In the end, the EU won. It isn't yet clear that the statements that have come out of the Greek Prime Minister's office are extremely terse. It isn't clear precisely how they bridged the 300 million euro gap, but they appear to have bridged it, and Greece has committed to these budget cuts. I would caution and say that Greece has committed to a lot of budget cuts, much larger than 300 million euros over the past 2 years, and hasn't really been able to implement every last one of them by any stretch of the imagination. So it's all a little bit of theater here.
Yeah, and look, we saw a story that some of the largest Greek unions are calling for a 2-day strike. They're not happy about it. I don't blame them for not being happy about it. But let's talk about the market reaction for a second. I see the euro's over 133. Not a huge move considering where it was, but still over 133. Bond yields are down a little bit. The stock reaction's not all that much. Can we look at this Greek deal and maybe say that this is the beginning of the end, or should we just prepare ourselves for more broken promises and kicking the can and the whole thing that we've been getting the last couple of years, Charles?
I don't think anybody is willing at this point to say that it's the beginning of the end. There are a lot of things that still need to be accomplished. The debt restructuring, the Greek debt restructuring, the famous PSI for one, needs to actually be accomplished. So let's be a little careful about saying that this is the beginning of the end. One thing that is actually ironically quite positive about all of this is that what has been going on in Greece, both positive and negative, has not really affected anybody else. And if you go back to last year, the buzzword was contagion, and you had movements in activity in Greece and Portugal and Ireland spilling over and affecting Spain and Italy. Both on the positive and on the negative side, that doesn't appear to be happening, which suggests that the Eurozone might have succeeded in one of its chief aims, which was to isolate Greece from the rest of the economies.